guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another film review. Cheers, hope you're all doing well. Tonight we're looking at a 1977 horror film. It's just got a re-release on 88 Films called Shockwave. This is their, I think it's their 88 Vault collection. This just came out about a week ago. Comes with a slipcase, a reversible cover. I love that official artwork, which is great. Comes with the movie, and of course it comes with a collector's booklet. Now this film, it's been, I remember getting this out on VHS when it came out. I remember renting it back in the day when VHS is picked up from Video Choice. I remember because of distinctive because of the cover, which was amazing. It's got a few legends of horror in the film. It stars John Carradine, Brooke Adams, who you may remember from Invasion of the Body Snatchers and The Unborn, a few Stephen King films, The Dead Zone and things like that. And it also stars the legendary Peter Cushing. And this is based upon zombie Nazis, and it's a wonderful sort of concept of a film. It's about these group of, it starts off with this woman, Brooke Adams, on this boat. She gets picked up and found by these couple of other guys on another boat. She's floating in the middle of the sea in like this sort of wooden dinghy, and they find her and they save her. And then we sort of break into the backstory of what's happened, and we see her with a group of other guys on a boat with John Carradine and a few other actors, and they're sort of like just sailing out. There's no real concept of what they're actually doing, but they're just sort of sailing around. And John Carradine tells them stories of this ghost ship and things like this. And all of a sudden they bump into this sort of ghost ship and one night, and it sort of damages their boat. And so the next day when they wake up, they've sort of like they decide to go to there's this island nearby, and they decide to sort of get their dinghy and they all go over to the island, because obviously the boat's damaged and they can't sail on with that. So they go to this island looking for help, and they go through this sort of jungle part of the island, and we don't really see too much going on. You get flashes of the close to the sort of ghost ship and in the water, but nothing going on. And then they end up going to they find this old sort of like building, this old sort of mansion on this island, which looks really run down and covered with sort of mildew, and it's got all this, it's just deserted and looks horrible. So they explore this mansion, and while it's going on, we then start to see our zombie Nazis in the water underneath the sea, in the bottom of the sea, starting walking along the seabed, and it's kind of really cool. It's really cool. And then they get interrupted while searching. They see this old gramophone playing music, so they all go to look at this old gramophone, and when they turn it off, it says, "What do you think you're doing?" And it's Peter Cushing turns up, and he's on this island, and he's telling them to get off. And they said, "Well, we want to get off. Our boat's damaged. We're just trying to find help. We're not here to disturb anyone or anything. We just want to find our way away." Anyway, Peter Cushing sort of tells them this island is not right and all this sort of thing. And our zombie Nazis now start coming up from the sea and start entering the island, sort of pursuing our sort of group of heroes, if you like, and they sort of all come under attack and sort of get sort of bumped off one by one, or sort of drowned in these sort of ways. Now That's all the synopsis I'm going to tell you. What happens, you need to find out. Obviously, Brooke Adams is a survivor. As I told you at the beginning of the film, it starts off with her on this boat. Um, and it's a wonderful, eerie film. It's extremely eerie. It's really well shot in a way. The photography is fantastic. The actual transfer looks quite poor in a way, but I think that's down to two things. This was made on a £200,000 budget, so it's a very small budget film, and so they probably only had limited amount of equipment to actually make the film with. But to be honest, I quite like the transfer because it looks very bleak and and it adds to the sort of eeriness of the film. Because this film, it's only a 12 certification, which I think's wrong, because I found it quite terrifying, and I found it really eerie and scary, and the music is phenomenal. It's almost like a character on its own. It's really bleak and very drawn out with sort of like long synthesized sort of a background, and it's really quite eerie and scary. I keep saying the word eerie, don't I? Because that's what it is. It is full of this sort of atmosphere, and it's absolutely terrifying. And you start feeling for these people, and the zombies. They look incredible. They look like my lad, because he watched a bit. He goes, "Oh look, that's Eminem," and these are supposed to be a sort of elite soldiers. This is what Peter Cushing tells them, that these are elite soldiers that could not be killed. It's what the Germans were creating, these sort of zombie soldiers that could go underneath the sea, you know, and probably go across to Britain and all these sort of things. This is why they were building an army of these Nazi zombies. And it's quite horrific. And why is it 12? I don't understand, because there's some really horrifying scenes of drowned people in sort of drowned states, you know. And I'm just thinking, I wouldn't want a 12-year-old to see this. They'd be traumatized. I still think there should be at least a 15. So I'm a bit shocked that it's only got a 12 certification. But my recommendation is, if you've got a 12-year-old, be very cautious about showing them this film, because there is lots of sort of scenes of drowned persons in it, which is sometimes quite horrible. There's no real gore in it, and the deaths are they're not sort of like really horrifying. It's just like a zombie dragging someone down, you know, and that sort of thing. But you see the aftermath of the drowned bodies, and it's not nice sometimes. It's really not. This was one of Peter Cushing's sort of last sort of films, I think. You know, it's in the late 70s, you know, and I think it's one of his latter films, and he's still phenomenal in the film. You know, this year he did this, and he did Star Wars. So it's a really cool film, and it's good to see him still venturing into the horror genre. And there's an interview on the disc with Brooke Adams saying how eccentric he was. On set, he would walk around with one sort of leather glove on and things like this, and it was quite eccentric. And I was just thinking, that sounds just like Peter. That's cool. So fantastic. It's a fantastic film. I absolutely loved it from start to finish. It grabbed me. Yes, there was minimal sort of violence, but didn't need it. The thing was scary enough as it was by the visuals of the ghost ship, and the sort of the way it's shot, and the zombies coming out of the sea and stuff like that. Terrifying. And like I say, you see drowned victims, and it's not very nice. Most of our main stars, including Peter Cushing, succumb to their demise, and it's you know, and it's just so wow, shocking in a way. And like, there's one part where they got the dinghy boat. It's got a glass floor, obviously, so you can see fish and stuff like that in it. But you can see like a drowned body floating underneath it. It's things like that, and it's just like, wow, I wouldn't want a 12-year-old to see this and stuff. But yeah, it was really scary and eerie. and it was didn't have any sort of major jump scares. It was just sort of like, you know, like in The Fog, John Carpenter's The Fog, when you see in the church when you've got the fog on the ground, and then you've got our sort of creatures in standing in the fog with their sort of like weapons and stuff like that, and their red eye. It's like that in a way, but from the sea. It's got that sort of atmosphere, and it's got in oodles. The whole film, from start to finish, is atmospheric, and strangely, weirdly uncomfortable and eerie. And I really loved it. Really cool horror film. The pluses of this edition, like I said, the transfer is quite drained, but I think it's supposed to be. Like I said, it was made a very small budget, and what they've done with it was fantastic. It really relies on the music and the camera angles, I think, that really bring this film to the front. The acting is stellar. You know, it's really cool. You've got some amazing actors in there. It's very overacted in many places, and other places it's just really cool with lots of memorable characters and moments. There's a number of deaths in there, so that's pretty cool. They're not gory or they're on screen to a point till they get dragged underwater, which is terrifying. One of the most horrible ways to die, I'd have thought, being drowned. So yeah, it's really cool. It's got a few special features on there, a few interviews with the cinematographer, the composer, and there's a Brooke Adams one on there, and another interview, and there's a commentary on there, trailers and TV spots. So it's not too bad on extra features. Nothing major jumps out on it to say, yeah, that was really cool. But yeah, there's still some features on there worth sort of like watching. So yeah, I would recommend this film to you. I'm not going to say highly recommend. I'm just going to say recommend, because it is a required taste. You've got to be into sort of like Italian films. It's not an Italian film, it's an American film, but it plays out like an Italian sort of horror. It's got that feel about it, like what's that film? Anthropophagus, what it was called, you know, the Savage Island. It's got that sort of feel about that of the film, of this isolated island, and it's got that sort of feel about it. So it's got a little bit of an Italian sort of horror feel to it, which I said, that feel when we're watching it, it almost feels like an Italian film, because yeah, it has got that sort of feel, and it's really cool, and there's so many good aspects about it. Yeah, it's not jump scare horror, it's not a gory or violent horror, it's just an eerie horror, and it's so cool. So check it out if you get a chance at Shockwaves. Guys, till my next video, please check out some horror channels. Check out Horror Hands, Horror Geek, Man v Film, RS Designs, Pizzlewell, I Am Ice Lord, Cat Watches Horror Movies, and Grumpy Andrew's Haunted House. Until next time, look after yourselves, look after one another, and I really hope I'll see you all soon. Oh, massive shout out to the lad.